Hello and welcome back to the Corhazi Outlook, a Grand Archive TCG podcast centered around tournament results and competitive metagame analysis.
We're here to provide you a glimpse into what's being played at larger tournaments and help you prepare for your next big event.
This is episode 21. I am Ken, also known as Chromatic. With me, as always, is Aubrey, also known as Jim the Eternal.
How's it going?
And today it's time to talk about Ascent Auckland. The second?
The second.
The second.
We have had an Auckland, now we have second Auckland.
I love second Auckland.
Yeah, it's the Auckland before 11sies.
Oh, yeah. It's true. That is probably at least the number of Ascents we've had up until this point. So we're going to get into it because Ascent Akihabara is coming up. Mm-hmm. It is going to be one of the biggest Ascents we've had so far. It is also sort of the capstone on the meta for the DTR season.
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to it. I think if any event is going to bring out kind of the secret hidden tech, the same way that Chess Club brought Horse and Taxes to Boston, it's going to be Aki. But at the same time, like, I kind of don't think there is any secret hidden tech. You know? I think it's just be good at what's there and well, I mean, we'll see how Auckland went.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, even if there is some secret hidden tech, I feel it's going to also be hidden amongst the many, many varieties of decks that have shown themselves to be viable and good.
Yeah, there's so many decks that are also a good choice.
Yeah. So apologies if we're getting this to you a little late. We've been sick. Mm-hmm. We've been a little ill getting this, but
unfortunately under the weather. The damp from Niagara Falls.
The torrential blast might have been too torrential at that. But we wanted to give you our take on the meta. I know a lot of other content creators have given their own spiels on it, but I figured why not do our own?
Yeah, it's our time.
Yeah, but before we get in on that, Jim. Amongst the sickness, what have you been up to?
So I've been firmly in the spectator role. I have been, kind of keeping up with like what's been going on and watching other people and looking at spoilers and stuff.
Yeah.
Haven't really had the chance to make it out to a locals.
Okay.
Haven't really had the chance to put together a deck I want to play.
Yeah.
I made it to, one very casual, like, okay, come out so we can have a fourth person so that we can fire. And I played Fire Diana. And that was fun.
Yeah.
Fire Diao-Chan.
Fire Diao-Chan? Oh, yeah.
And that was fun. Like, I like the way that Diao-Chan plays. I like the way that Fire Diao-Chan plays.
Yeah.
The deck is, I don't think, good enough to really make it big. But it's,
It's a fun, I like its more reactive take on aggression.
Yeah. And kind of the way I was feeling that day, like, Fire aggro was my speed. I didn't really want to have to think too hard.
No, I understand. On the opposite side of the spectrum, seeing Kyoka's performance at Niagara Falls has emboldened me to once again return to the old me and pick up Windry.
Fantastic.
And I'm having a great time. It's really fun.
Good.
Kyoka's list, by the way, is just insane. It's savage. It's not anything like the Rai that I used to play. I was like, I can just...
Not anything. Listen to yourself. Kids these days.
I can just
putting in the arcane cards.
Maybe I'm just a different person than I was back then. Maybe I'm not the regional champion I used to be.
Was it fun?
It was so much fun. It was incredibly fun. There's still some dust I'm trying to shake off, but there's some really cool things you can do, and you can do it at a speed that is unlike anything that I have done. Which is weird because though the thing that I associate with Turbo, the Beseech the Winds, is not in the deck anymore, but everything else is great. So
yeah, Grand Archive is just getting faster. Like I think that is true.
Yeah, it's faster, and yet it doesn't feel like, I don't know. We could have an entire episode devoted to this, but
probably
it's faster. But I still feel there are enough decisions happening in that
absolutely.
time. So
absolutely,
I don't really feel like I'm missing out on anything.
Grand Archive has always been very front loaded in terms of decision making.
Very true.
So even if you're winning on turn 3 or 4. It's not like you haven't been making decisions to get up to there.
I'm starting to wonder, is this what the Yu-Gi-Oh players feel like?
Maybe.
I don't know. That's a conversation for another time. But enough rambling about us. Let's talk about Auckland.
Yeah, let's talk about Auckland.
Yeah.
126 attendees.
Yeah.
Which I think makes it the... not actual smallest, because Auckland 1 had 117, apparently.
Yes. Shout out to Luxera's map.
Right? Yeah. Maybe the second smallest Ascent we've ever had.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes sense given the timing, right? There's a lot of people who are going to Aki.
Yep.
And that's a major travel expenditure. Maybe people don't want to travel to Auckland.
Yeah.
It's right off the heels off of Niagara.
Literally the weekend right after. So I think a lot of people were just getting back from travel.
Yep, and a lot of the people who might have otherwise traveled to here were like, well, Niagara's closer, we'll just go to that one, and that'll be the one that we go to in this month.
Yeah. So you don't need to go to every Ascent, though you can.
You can, and some people do.
And absolutely shout out to the people who do, because you are rock stars all the way. I know we have a couple people who were coming directly off of Niagara to this one. So.
Yeah, that's not a lot of time to figure that out.
Yeah. But I mean, some folks I think just have their plan locked in across multiple Ascents, and they're just gonna send it.
Yeah.
So, more about that.
So, 126 attendees, which means 8 rounds.
Yep.
And the top cut, while still point-based, has a minimum.
Yes.
So at least 32 need to make it into day 2, which means we had some people actually bubbling in, even if they didn't make the point cutoff.
Yeah, which is kind of surprising considering nowadays when we have sort of the point cutoffs established.
Right.
Very cool.
Which is really neat. So some people 5-3'd. Bubbling in at 5-3, it's a slightly worse point total than other people in day 2, but didn't actually cut you off from top 8.
But the top cut was small enough that you actually still had a shot here. It's kind of
you'd have to win out.
Kind of a harken back to the old Ascents before the point change.
Yeah. Really interesting. So that was neat. I think I'm not quite sure what that meant in terms of, sort of the entrance into day 2. Do we feel like that made day 2 different in some qualitative way?
Yeah.
But it is different from how Ascents have ran, the more recent Ascents.
I think so.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it really is really interesting. And still quite a wide diversity of decks. Obviously, we had some clear favorites here. I think one thing we wanted to call out... Actually, no, we'll call this out afterwards, because then we're going to go down the list.
Yeah.
So, amongst the elements, we had 55 decks in fire. We had 53 decks in wind, 17 decks, a mere 17 decks in water.
Yeah, not a lot of water.
Not a lot of water.
That's really the truth about the meta today, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fire and wind all the way. It does remind me of the ALC days. It's just fire and wind. So amongst the different decks we saw here, the most popular deck by far, to no one's surprise, is Quarax.
So we've also been doing a little bit of kind of breaking down Quarax into separate categories.
Yeah, there's a lot of different flavors of Quarax nowadays, as it turns out.
So just to call out, there are 11 of these Quarax decks are the Quarax Knight version, running Spirit Blade Ascension.
Yep.
And then we had 16 different Merlin Quarax decks, although not all of those were the Fire Merlin that we know and love.
Yeah.
But yeah, Quarax is definitely the most available archetype.
Yeah.
And not the most winningest archetype, but it did do pretty well.
It did pretty well, honestly. We saw quite a few conversions here. Coming behind that, we had 19 decks on the many flavors of fire aggro.
None of which did very well.
No.
Suzaku's still the most common fire aggro deck.
Yeah.
But that is still 7 decks in the field, just barely above 5% of the field, Suzaku. Yeah. And then, there's Philo, there's Fiza, there's various other variants. I think there was a couple of Fire Dayachans. There's, all the various flavors of fire aggro, none of them really performing, I think, as well as people would have wanted.
This is really just a sign that we're very much in the late stage of the meta where aggro decks are kind of falling off in favor of the more mid-rangey, maybe even some controlling variants.
Yeah, there's a lot of mid-range in fire. There's a decent amount of mid-range in wind. And I think the presence of wind just has really good defensive options right now. Yeah. And the presence of wind is really kind of taking over from where the fire aggro used to be.
Yeah, wind is in a pretty good spot right now, which really shows with this next deck. Coming up from the Ashes, 12 decks, Razor Gale.
So much Razor Gale.
Razor Gale really is making an impression.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? Razor Gale won Auckland, or won Niagara Falls.
Won Niagara Falls.
So obviously people could be like, well, if that deck won that Ascent, maybe it can win this Ascent.
This is the Center effect.
Brought Razor Gale.
Yep.
In fact, there was a decent chunk of people, Team TM32, swapped over from their Crux list to a Razor Gale.
Yeah, this is their own unique take on it, which is going to be a lot of fun to talk about. So.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah. Coming right in after that, we have 11 decks on Shadow Strike.
Yeah.
Tristan's still very popular, of course, and it's a very well-positioned deck still. And right after that, we have 9 Seiryu decks.
Yep, Seiryu, of course, the most popular Guoja deck.
Yep, Seiryu will high roll you very hard. It's a very effective deck. We have 8 Wake Up combo decks. This one has definitely been making quite a splash and continues to do so.
Yeah, I think this deck is good. Was it Yamikin who keeps championing this deck?
Yamikin is definitely one of the proud all-stars of this deck. His builds are really interesting. I think this iteration is no exception.
Yeah, absolutely. It keeps popping in. It's the kind of deck that, like, you know, if you want to run something aggressive, this has that sort of aggro option.
Yeah.
As well as having enough resiliency to come back kind of later in the game and be like, oh, you left an opening? Well, here's 30 damage.
Yeah. The combo nature of this deck is really sort of asserting itself because it's very much though like you either go for it and they're dead, or you have to not die until you can establish your combo. So very, very cool. After that, we have 7 decks on Suzaku, just another flavor of the fire aggro that we were talking about earlier. Kind of a shock to us. We only had 6 decks on water allies, which I consider this sort of the regional deck of this area.
Yeah, it feels like there's a lot of water allies in New Zealand and Australia.
Yeah.
Although I guess Australia is maybe more Merlin coded now.
Perhaps so, yeah.
But yeah, at this point we're going down to below 5% of the field, right? These are tiny numbers relative to the overall things. So there are a lot of decks that kind of maybe you would have expected more of, maybe not, but didn't make much of a presence in the overall gestalt of the meta.
Yeah.
In terms of what the meta overall looks like. And Water Allies not being there is definitely a bit of a surprise.
It's shocking. It really kind of shows you how much the other elements are surging in popularity and sort of superiority here. So.
Some other decks that kind of maybe people would have expected to be more popular and aren't Wind Allies.
Yeah, Wind Allies is usually a very, very popular one. I think the writing is kind of on the wall for that one. I feel like that deck is kind of in a rough place right now.
Yeah.
Which is not to say that it will be in a rough place going forward, but that's a conversation for the early PTM.
I mean, I think what's happening is a lot of the power of Wind Allies is also present in some of the other Wind decks. Like if you look at Seiryu, there's definitely that Allies focus, which is part of what gives it its power.
Yes,
right?
Seiryu can play an Allies game just as well as some of the Wind Allies decks, but also they have a giant boss monster in the form of Seiryu.
Right, and if you look at like Wind Crux, you know, it has kind of that Allies general feel to it, but then it has that top end. It has those Ghosts of Pendragon. It has a way to gain some extra advantage, some way to close out the game.
Yes.
And I think that's what Wind Allies is lacking. It's like a decent aggressive deck, but that's all it is.
Yeah.
And the options that people have to defend themselves against allies of that stature is just getting more and more and more.
Yeah.
Like Wind Allies just doesn't have the punch to cut it anymore.
With the resurgence of Lorraine, you have to always respect the Flame Sweep, and the Flame Sweep will break your ally board.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. This meta in specific is not very friendly to allies decks without that extra punch.
Yeah.
Not a lot of Genbu.
There's surprisingly very little Genbu. 2 Genbu decks.
And then, you know, there's a bunch of other decks that people have kind of been like championing off and on over the course of the meta, none of which really made that big a splash here.
Yeah.
I mean, there was like a chunk of Aetherwing, there's a chunk of Suited, but all of this in sort of the long tail of single-digit decks.
Yeah. So still a very wide field, but the obvious favorites are obviously doing very well.
Yeah, and it's the same obvious favorites as Niagara, which I guess shouldn't really come as a surprise to anybody.
I mean, this is kind of just an echo of what we saw at Niagara, obviously, which is like a very wide open field with a lot of diversity, but still some clear favorites that are just sort of taking it to the top. Yeah,
and it's also the same decks that people were expecting in Niagara.
Yeah.
Right? So there hasn't been any real surprises, although there not being a lot of CL is a little bit of a surprise.
It's a little bit of a surprise.
But that's maybe the only real surprise here. I think, you know, the Diana Aetherwing decks were something that maybe people expected in slightly more numbers, but nobody was really expecting it to perform.
Yeah. I mean, it's really shows you something where the Diana Aetherwing decks, as much as I think the Arcehtype's been through a lot over the course of the season, is one of the better performing water archetypes for this Ascent, if not prior Ascents.
Yeah.
But to talk about that, we should go into day 2.
Yeah, let's leave this day 1 in the dust.
Yeah.
And move on to day 2.
Day 2 really kind of cements what we're talking about, because look no further to see just how things shifted here.
Yeah, the element breakdown for day 2 is a real trip. So 15 fire decks. 16 wind decks.
Overtook the fire decks.
1 water deck.
Yeah.
And like we were hinting, it's Aetherwing.
It's an Aetherwing
so
deck.
It's not Genbu, it's not CL, it's not Fractals. The 1 water deck in the top 32 was Aetherwing.
Listen, you can say what you want about Diana and her previous competitive history, but Skrull works hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those decks that's like, you know, if you have 10 people on Aetherwing, one of them's probably going to day 2 just by the numbers.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of that is down to, like, if the deck gets lucky, you kind of have to get good matchups and you have to draw well. But it's unstoppable.
Your deck sequence matters very, very much with all the glimpsing and setups you have to do.
This is a pretty high skill ceiling deck.
Yeah.
That also requires some luck in order to get there. But it can perform as long as you are performing at a high level the entirety of the day.
Yep. It's a lot of brain power, but it can do it.
Yeah, it's a lot of work for sure.
It's a ton of work.
I think to nobody's surprise, the deck that is in fact the most popular on day 2 is Crux.
Of course.
Right?
We love Crux in this house.
We have 12 total Crux decks in day 2.
Yeah.
6 Lorraine, 5 Merlin, 1 Windcrux.
One Windcrux.
One Lorraine Windcrux.
Yes.
And we are going to talk about that deck.
It's not your usual Windcrux.
No, of course not. And this is a very good conversion rate, not only for Crux in general, but for each of these specific decks, right? 55% of the Lorraine Crux decks made it into day 2.
Yeah.
That is huge. And it shows that, you know, that's a very, very powerful deck. Not only because of its presence, but also just because it's good.
Yeah. Crux has always been fine. It continues to be fine.
Yeah. It's like, if you take a look at the comparison numbers, right? It is 8.7% of the field on day 1.
Yeah.
And it is 20% of the field on day 2. If you look at the Merlin numbers, they're also up, like 13% of the field on day 1 and 16% of the field on day 2.
Yeah, if you want to talk about a deck that's gotten faster, I think Merlin Crux is really just like the example of like this deck has considered to be for the long time one of the like more like long game decks, more inevitable decks. And this thing just goes so fast now.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, like looking at these percentages breaks down pretty quickly because of the size of the event.
It's true.
If you're looking at like 2 of these decks showed up and 1 of these decks made it into day 2.
Yes.
Like saying that this deck had a 50% conversion rate is not a useful statistic.
It's a little skewed. With a larger event, these numbers might be a bit more interesting.
Right. But like with the Crux decks, I think those percentages actually do tell kind of a story here.
Yeah, because it's like a much larger percentage compared to everything else.
Right. And the other thing is, that's the majority of the fire.
Yeah.
There was 1 Philo deck. There was 1 Fire Umbra CL deck. And we're going to talk about a Limelight's Ablationist at some point.
We didn't expect to see Ablation.
There was 1 Fiza deck.
Yeah.
And that's
it. Yeah.
That's the fire. So it's almost entirely Crux.
Very homogenous fire. With the Wind, you see a lot more variety here because we have some Razorgale lists, some Tristan lists, some Arasana lists, some Guoja lists, some Champions Who Will Not Be Named lists, Wake Up Combo.
Also an unnamed, like there is a Wake Up Combo deck with no champions.
Yeah.
They just didn't bother.
It's just Wind, guys.
Yeah. It's just Wind.
Although I've heard people are calling it the Boots deck. Because I guess Rangers tries as your champion.
I love it. I love it.
And a Xander.
Yeah, this threw me. I saw that there was a Luxem deck.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, Fire Luxem made it?
No.
Wind Luxem. People are out here playing Wind Assassin Xander.
Who plays Wind Luxem?
I love
all
it.
of Southern California.
Well, it's Tristan with a top end, right?
Yeah. Sure.
if your Tristan is too mid-range, then why not try Wind Luxem?
Why not try Wind Luxem? Why have a defined time to win the game? Just figure it out as you go.
Wind Luxem is such a fascinating deck to me because it feels like a little bit more fragile than Tristan. It feels like it doesn't have quite the same tricks.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same build-up to it.
It's very... You are okay. So I'm not the Wind Luxem player to be talking about. I played it for maybe like a couple weeks, and the number of micro decisions you have to make in that deck is so astronomical, including the: do I kill them now? Do I wait?
Right.
Do I level? Do I kill them at 1? Do I kill them at 3?
And I think part of that is because it has more options, right? You can do sort of the mid-range thing, and you can do sort of the late game thing.
Yeah.
And at some point you have to pick a direction.
Yeah.
And you have to pick that direction correctly.
Yes, it's not only based on what you draw, but also who you're facing.
Right. And the way that you prep for those is different. Because in Tristan, you're going for prep counters regardless.
Yeah.
And if you see an opening for slice and dice, you take it.
Yeah.
Whereas with Xander, you're not going for prep counters unless you're trying to slice and dice.
There's a narrative arc to playing Tristan. Like, you have some set breakpoints you're trying to choose. With Xander, it's kind of like, choose your own adventure.
Yeah, it's really freeform. And it's a fascinating way to play a deck like that.
Yeah.
It just means that you really have to pay attention to what you're doing and who you're doing it with.
Yeah, fascinating. So we should talk about archetypes.
Yeah. So let's move on to the archetype breakdown.
Yes.
So the categories of decks, as always, aggro, tempo, mid-range, control, combo. And we are seeing a lot of the same things that we saw in Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
20 mid-range decks out of the 32 that showed up.
The big old mid-range pile.
63%.
The big pile.
We got Shadow Strike. We have Lorraine with Crux, of course.
Yep.
We have Seiryu, which is sort of mid-range combo, depending on who you ask.
Yeah.
We have Merlin, which is the mid-range poster child.
Yep.
We have our one Aetherwing deck.
Yep.
Which mid-range tempo. I mean, there's so many it's loose here.
It's got some combo in it too.
Yeah, who knows? But I am deciding. I have put my foot down. This deck is mid-range.
If it's the John Madden of archetypes, which means it's mid-range.
Which means it's mid-range. There you go. Yeah. When in doubt, it's probably mid-range.
It's probably mid-range.
And 2 Fire CL decks.
Yep.
So this is all sort of the decks that build up to something and then just start throwing cards at you.
Yeah.
And that is kind of where the meta is at these days, right? People taking a couple of turns to figure out what they're doing, people taking a couple of turns to accrue resources to get to level 3, whatever it is they need to do, and then they just throw threat after threat after threat.
And then you just see what happens.
Sometimes that threat is 1 Shadow Strike, and sometimes that threat is 2 Ghosts and a Deer, and sometimes that threat is also 2 Ghosts and a Rending Flame.
Yep.
But they go to this kind of big, sort of giant things that you have to worry about. It's why Crystallized Destiny is so popular right now, right?
Oh, yeah.
So many decks are like, oh, you Crystallized Destiny me. Well, that's
now,
my turn.
Well, my turn is up.
Right? So
everything's too expensive
which feels really honest, right? It's 2 people standing right in front of each other, taking turns, punching each other in the face. And it's like, oh, well, you had the Crystallized Destiny. I guess it's your turn to punch me.
Okay, that's fine.
But yeah, so mostly mid-range.
Mostly mid-range.
We have 2 aggro decks here.
Yes.
We have 1 Fiza.
Yep.
And we have 1 Philo doing some interesting things.
A few interesting
We'll take a look at that.
A little bit.
We have 1 kind of tempo-y deck.
Yeah.
Right? Like, not a whole lot of tempo out here.
There's not a lot.
And just like, in terms of an allies deck, there's not a lot of decks that have that allies focus.
Yeah, we don't see that kind of gameplay.
Right.
Very much anymore.
I think Wind Crux is the deck that I am thinking of, is our 1 tempo deck, is the closest we have to that allies gameplay, and that still has that kind of top end.
Yeah.
Right? So it's tempo leaning into mid-range, as opposed to like Diana mid-range leaning into tempo.
Absolutely.
So this is, this is all just vibes anyway, but here you go.
Yeah.
As far as control decks go, we have our Wind Luxem deck, which is sort of more controlling than some of the other allies focused decks.
It can sneak a kill, but it likes to do Luxem things.
Yeah, it kind of wants to hold back a little bit and build up to that Luxem, although it can really do whatever it wants.
Yeah.
And of course, Astra Arizona.
Yeah.
Right? This is
the poster child of control.
This is control.
Yeah.
This is what control looks like these days.
Yep.
And then we have our combo decks, right? We have 1 wake up deck, 2 wake up decks.
Yep.
And 4 Razor Gales.
Yeah.
4 Razor Gales.
4 Razor Gales.
We did say this earlier. 4 Razor Gales. There are 4 Razor Gales.
There are 4
in the top
Razor
32.
Gales. Why is there so much Razor Gales?
I love this brave new world that we find ourselves in.
Oh my god, it's just like the old one, but spicy.
Right. So we are seeing, because of Razor Gale specifically, a little bit more combo presence than we saw in Niagara Falls. So this is sort of the effect of Niagara. Auckland being the event immediately after. Razor Gale is slightly increased in popularity. But otherwise, we are seeing the same kind of, not exactly bell curve, more Orthanc, like giant tower in the middle.
It's really just a big tower.
Yeah, it's just this mid-range tower.
Yeah. So,
but also some Razor Gale.
Yeah. In spite of that, there were a few decks that I think were pretty neat here that we should definitely call out.
Yeah.
We have definitely alluded to some of them already. So let's talk about them. 31st place, we have the one water deck that made it to day 2. This is Chainsaw 8303's Water Aetherwing Diana. And it is a little different than what you would normally expect from this kind of Aetherwing
Tell me more.
So this is a Carp Song deck through and through. It only goes to level 1, though. It is not relying on level 2 for any sort of, extra burst damage, stuff like that. It's running a Looking Glass. It's got the cats. No Mad Hatters. So they're not taking any chances with that. But Looking Glass does mean that you are getting the benefits of an Inert Sword-powered Cheshire Cat, Ranger Strides for the big damage. Bauble of Scarcity I really like here. Because a lot of the the Ether Charge Floating Memory can just be jettisoned directly into your yard. So there's no need to sort of do the Rube Goldberg process of play it, load it, shoot it, pay with it. So you can kind of just get that all done.
Also pretty helpful because the deck kind of runs on some really thin margins, right?
It does.
So if your opponent is just barely able to defend themselves, and you can be like, well, okay, how about Bauble of Scarcity, and now I hit you for 7.
Yeah. Also, you could probably just throw a tow troll into the yard with this if you really wanted to, and just Carp Song them to death. It's a little bit of extra resilience, so because this is only running one Aetherwing, and I don't know if you were expecting horses in this meta, but a horse would ruin your day here.
Yeah.
And then you kind of just have to wonder, well, what am I going to do now? It turns out you have a backup plan in the form of paladins, archers, cats, and other things you can do.
Yep.
So,
and also Carp Song Coda.
Carp Song Coda.
So this is kind of branching out a little bit, right?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a more Water Allies feel to it. Although it doesn't really have the sort of control-y aspects that we're used to seeing in Water Allies.
Yeah, it's still got a few things here. It's got the Drowning Ethers, which you can use to mitigate things. It's got Dissuading Ether, Chain Charge, but it's kind of mostly all in on getting your face kicked in.
Yeah.
Really?
Which is like I appreciate the dedication to that strategy. It just seems a little fragile, which, I mean, Diana, right? Diana has always seemed a little fragile.
It's always been a little fragile, but I think the benefit of this version of the deck is it has a lot of redundancies packed in.
Very cool.
So, and a lot of backup plans to the backups, which I think is good. So, pretty cool deck. 28th place, we have YHJ0127's Wind and Soul Lorraine, which...
Yeah, this is kind of wild.
I looked at this list and I was like, what is going on? You have Spirit of Wind going through to Lorraine Crux Knight, and you have 5 swords, and your top end is 4 Ghosts of Pendragon and 2 copies of Spirit Blade and Soul, which is not what I normally expect in Wind.
Yeah, as far as in Soul lists go, it's definitely non-standard. As far as Wind Crux lists go, it's pretty standard for Wind. Like, what this is doing as far as Wind Crux goes seems to me like a lot of the normal things that Wind Crux does, with the exception of 5 swords.
It's weird because it is, and yet it's also... It is, and yet it isn't, in weird ways. So it's doing a little bit of Banner Knight stuff. So it's got some of the classic Wind and Soul stuff. You've got the Banner Knight package. You've got, some allies with reclaims that you can take advantage of. You got your hurricane sweeps. You got your typical wind stuff, your dream fairies, all that good stuff. And then you see a couple weird things. Like you see a Guan Yu in here. You see some roses in here, which are a bit more of like controlling options. You're seeing 4 of Spades, which is just a backup charger with legs, which is also pretty nice. But then you're seeing like 2 in caps in the main deck. And then obviously the Tempest Downfalls for extra reach, the Insouls, and you're like, what's going on here? The
kind of splitting the difference between a lot of different decks.
A little bit. So it's like half the Crux we know and love, and another half being like, I'm gonna go in a wildly different direction with this. So it is very non-standard. I couldn't tell you how this deck operates, but I love to see people innovating and doing well with it.
Yeah, I mean, it did do well.
Yeah, I know YHJ is definitely doing pretty well. It definitely has an established record, and it seems to be working out pretty well for him.
So faced a lot of outliers going up.
Yeah.
So he had a bit of an interesting path.
He did.
Going up to to day 2, right?
Yeah.
He had faced a lot of outliers. So I'm not really sure what this deck is supposed to be good against.
Yeah.
But it definitely seems to beat all of the decks that people aren't expecting to win.
It's true.
So it's got enough going for that mark.
Yeah. I mean, it's really thing. It's just an original idea that he stuck with, and it seemed to carry him well to the second day of the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, even he did go 5-3, so he bubbled in.
Yeah.
But even with that, making it to day 2 is no mean feat.
For sure. So that was pretty cool. 26th place, we have Nathan on Wind Luxem Xander. And I say it again, this is such a crazy, crazy list to pilot. It looks like he's leaned it down to a good 60 cards, but a lot of the good cards you expect here are there. Also with this fun one-ofs. One Scatter Essence is a nod to Razor Gale, I presume, which you can find easily with your glimpsing.
One Scatter Main is real interesting.
Yeah.
And did
two
run
more, two more on the
Okay,
board. Two more on the board. Also running a couple copies of Zhang Zhao in the board as well. I see one Regal Inquisition there, which is a really interesting pick, but you can glimpse that out pretty easily. So that's not bad. It seems like I want to say it's a relatively standard Windsander list.
Doing a lot of the kind of pre-boarding, right? Like one of the main two in the board for a lot of different cards.
Because your glimpse potential is so good here with Fairy Whispers and Scout the Land that you can kind of find exactly what you want. Surveil the Winds also lets you get a little extra draw power to sort of set up your draws perfectly. So
two turbocharges. Definitely wants to get those draws.
Yeah. Only two? Only two? I mean, this isn't the SoCal special, I guess.
Sure.
You know.
Well, he's only running 60 cards. So that's
true. You're right. You need one more turbocharge, then it's good. But no, piloting this list is no mean feat. So congrats to Nathan for weathering all of the challenges of this list. In 20th place, we have Kit Kat on Fire Lorraine. So this is a little bit less standard than the Fire Lorraines that we are used to seeing. It's running a bit more of an interesting Kindle package here. It's running March.
I think this is it has some similarities to the Guardian aggro list that we saw.
From Hamzor. Right? Yeah. It's got a couple things. So definitely some good payouts here with March Hare as a Kindle engine, Dazzling Courtesan, Pepper Chef to get things into the art so you can kindle them out later. That's a pretty good one. And
not a very frequent include in Philo. This is more of a KFC card.
Yeah, typically a KFC card. But I mean, it makes sense. You have some good stack targets here. March Hare, liminal guys.
2 reserve for 4 damage is pretty good.
Yeah,
regardless.
Definitely very powerful. Pepper Chef is such a workhorse. It's kind of ridiculous. Running Cats as well, along with the classic unique ally package, and a Sword Saint's Vow because it's running some Home by Fires.
Might as well.
And it's gonna get you with them.
Wow.
Yeah. This is a very aggressive package, so it seemed to work out. This is probably the highest placing aggro deck of the tournament.
Yep. So, in 20th place, which really shows kind of how the meta has shaped up.
Yeah. But, to pilot this kind of a deck into this field is no small ask either. So, congrats to Kit Kat. In 18th place, we have Shin Song. I'm so sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. I'm just really bad at this.
Shang Tsung.
Shang Tsung. His soul is mine. My soul is his. Anyway. Serene Wind Arasana.
Was this the best performing Astro deck?
This was the best performing Astro deck that we had here. A little different from the ones that we saw in Niagara Falls. This is kind of more traditional, running the Serene over the Fragmented. And we have kind of what you see typically from Astra here. I think we're seeing Regenerate pop in a bit more because this is a really good way to cycle cards and also keep yourself alive. 10 the land, obviously really good here. 2 Scout the lands to sort of have a bit more control over what your ordering of your deck is.
Yeah, it does let you set up for some mean glimpses.
You can set up for some mean glimpses and also just, for in the early game when you need to just have playable cards.
Yeah.
That's pretty important. And then the Astra package is a little bit greedier. So we're not seeing as many negates. We're only on 5 negates here, 2 Astral Seals and 3 Horta counters. Otherwise,
is that the usual mix? I feel like usually you see more seals than you do Horta counters.
Yeah, well, Fruitcake at Niagara, I think, was running
6, right? 4 and 2?
Yeah, 4 and 2. 4 seals, 2 Horta counters. So I normally expect that number to be higher. But
going to 2 and 3 is interesting.
It's an interesting choice.
I kind of like it. I feel like Horta counter is underplayed.
Horta counter is fantastic. It's definitely clearly the better negate. But he cut them to make room for 2 Lunar Seers, and he has 2 Spell Shield Astras. So he's getting a little bit more greedy potential here out of the Lunar Seer glimpses, just to sort of push that agenda a bit further, and also Spell Shield Astras to protect himself.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So it's pretty good. And then he has a 3rd Astral Seal on the board, so he can go up to 6 if he wants to.
Okay.
So that's actually a pretty good balance there. This gentleman also was pretty ready for Fantasias and Shenju. He's got 4 Scatter Essence in the board along with 2 Arrow Traps and 2 Ravaging Tempest. So
no Noble Dissolutions?
No, apparently he wasn't that afraid of Fantasias. He should have been. That's the solution. Should have more Noble Dissolutions next time. But no, congrats to this gentleman here for
pretty good.
piloting this deck. I think Ari is still has some legs. Definitely still has some legs. And then in 15th place, we have Sebastian on Serene Fire Umbraciel. Notably, there are a few different builds of Umbraciel in this tournament. This one is more of the controlling variant. It is running Grim Pastiche and Profane Bindings.
Yeah, so this is really interesting. There's a lot of different CLs just generally, right?
Yeah.
We have the Oblation package, which made it into the top.
Yep.
We have this sort of defensive Pastiche Bindings, Regal, a lot of stuff that you can do with Grim Pastiche.
Yeah.
Grim Pastiche is a heck of a card.
Oh, yeah.
We also have like a Sutira Vortex kind of chip damage focused version of the deck.
The siphoning fractal version, basically. Yeah.
But this leans more into the omens than the Oblation does.
Yeah.
In order to give you a little bit of power on your way up.
Yep.
And then just has all of the good stuff that everybody puts into every Fire CL deck. You know, like we talk about the different packages the different CL decks can have, and that is a choice between like 6 different cards.
Yeah.
And the other, 45 cards are prescribed. You're not seeing anybody go down on the staples, right? Everybody's going to have the same 4 of Creative Shock, the same 4 of Fast Cure, the same, Dungeon Guide, Liminal Guide, etc.
Yeah. What I think is really interesting here is the emphasis on card filtering and sort of controlling draws, because obviously we have Creative Shock. Turbocharge at 3 is kind of the SoCal special. But we also have 4 Flam Sorcells, 4 Reckoning's Wakes, 4 Rictus Tiding to control your draws.
4 Rictus Tiding is
4
crazy,
Rictus Tiding is so crazy.
So, okay, wait, we have to do some math here. What are the 4s?
Like, what are the 4s?
Are there a lot of 4s, or is this just always going to be a draw 1?
The biggest thing is he has a lot of 2s, but he also has the heavy swings.
Oh, that's true.
He does also have... hold on. That's not actually...
Okay, so 6 and 2 is our Rictus.
6 and 2 is not bad. He has 1 Peaceful Reunion in the main, which admittedly doesn't go well with anything. So I think that's like the whammy, basically.
Sure.
You don't want to hit that one. Although he has more in the board, so maybe it's a no whammies kind of thing. Maybe he can set up for it.
Fascinating.
It's really interesting.
I love the idea of a deck that's mostly 2s and then a couple of 6s, because that feels like a good Rictus.
Yeah, no, it seems really good. And like obviously, like he wants the filtering and the control here because he's very much playing like a longer, more controlling game, just to sort of make sure his opponent isn't able to play things so easily. At least that's the intention I'm getting. You can even see
CL has that inevitability at the top end, right?
It does.
Like between the ability to omen things for 2 free damage and Spirel hitting things without needing to go through attacking. It's just really a lot of different sources of damage and a lot of power once you get up there.
Your end game is sort of handled with the omens as well as the Grand Sonnery, and also like a few extra chip damage cards like Conflagrative Trounce, Heavy Swing. You've got Carter in there for extra damage. Yeah, it's crazy. He even has Intensified Pyres in the board as an extra way to push damage against decks that are very graveyard heavy, which is pretty cool. So yeah, this is a pretty sweet list. So hey, Sebastian, that was pretty cool.
Great.
I'd love to see more. But that'll conclude our analysis of decks that we thought were neat in day 2, which brings us into the top 8.
So kind of continuing the trend, there were some bubbles here for the top 8.
There were.
We had Caban and Pulse.
Yep.
Both bubbling in with a record of 8-3-1.
Yes.
And Quarax, unfortunately, also an 8-3-1 that bubbled out. So Quarax ended up 9th place.
Oh, man.
But on kind of a standard Fire Crux Lorraine list. So probably not too much detail to go into there.
Yeah.
But easily could have been a top 8 contender here, but for the tiebreakers.
Yeah, so good honorable mention to Quarax. His list is very much the classic Fire Crux Knight Lorraine that we have come to expect here. Though it's running Devastating Blow, which is a card that I have near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, this is actually, I think, a decision that more and more people are making. They talked a little bit about it on the stream as well, because it's a little bit more consistent than Rending Flames.
Yeah.
Right? It's just something that's like, okay, instead of rolling the dice and needing the extra resources, this just always hits for 7.
Yeah, this will always hit for 7. You can bring out your Prismatic Edge, so then clocks them for 10. You can just Ascension that thing back, and it's great, honestly.
Pretty solid.
Yeah, he's got some cool ideas on the board, too. He's got Varuk Smoldering Spire, because he really wants to guarantee that damage hits, which makes sense because of a lot of wind is in the field, and you don't want to deal with Veiling Breeze. It's a pain in the butt. Underfires to protect himself. Smokeouts for cats in the main.
Sure.
That's a fun one. We like to see that.
Yeah, it seems more and more pressing too. Like everybody's just running this.
Everybody's running cats, and the cat population will only rise over time.
I think so.
It's normally I'm not a problem with, but eventually, overpopulation becomes an issue. We love cats on this house in this podcast. Please just cut this whole. I can't stop. I can't. I just.
Get a hold of yourself, man.
Anyway, in 8th place, we have Yamikin on Wind. Wake up.
Never gets old. I love that.
No, it's great. So this version of Yamikin's Wake Up list is probably one of the most interesting ones we've seen so far because he is running 4 copies of Safeguard Paragon.
This is the thing that he's been leaning into. Like the past couple of times we've seen Yamikin's list, we've seen the Safeguard Paragon.
Yeah, so I want to know the use case where this comes in.
Yeah, he does seem pretty happy with them if they stayed in this long.
Right? Like, I suppose you could maybe use this to protect against spell damage, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, perhaps like an Ascension type kill might be good.
Well, I think the real benefit of this is it's every unit you control.
Yeah, your whole board.
If people are looking to kind of tempest downfall your X3s before they can come in, or if people are looking to like smoke out your cats or something like that, this does provide a bit of a defensive thing.
It's true.
And it's something you can just put out there and it's like, okay, well, now you have to deal with this before you can deal with the rest of my board.
That's true. That means that your threats are just that much more protected, which means your win con is much more easy to execute. So, yeah, it's an interesting sort of setup procedure. I guess it's sort of the setup in the case of, like, if you don't really have a line to kill them right now, you can set this up in the way that you set up, like, a draft of stamina. Something like that.
And it's just a little bit of an insurance policy, I guess.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, pretty cool. He's also got 2 reconnaissance scouts. Notably, this doesn't have the class bonus effect of making another unit distant, but it is a fast activated ranged unit, so you can just sort of pop this down on your opponent's end phase and just have it ready to go for your next turn. So.
Yeah, it actually seems like a real boon to the deck to have a 3-power, essentially, unit that can come out without needing to spend your resources on your turn.
Yeah.
So that's very cool. It gives you, like, more room to be like, now you can put distant on this unit. You can play the unit and make it distant in your recollection, and then all of the cards in your hand can go to making it being able to attack twice, 3 times, whatever.
Yep. So other than that, it's the Wake Up we've all come to know and love.
Love is strong.
Love is a bit of
a strong
word. I mean, I don't think this deck will love you back in the same way. It's running a Death Essence Amulet, for goodness sake. This is always the card that I feel kind of like is sort of like the hint. The for your opponent being like, don't kill my board.
Yeah,
you should just go face. You should just go face.
And it's very much like, okay, well, you can interact with my board, but then you're going to be out of resources to interact with anything else.
If I don't already have ways to protect my board and make it so that you can't kill it, I'm going to make your life a living hell for even having thought about messing with my board.
It's so fascinating.
It's crazy.
I have to wonder if this worked out well for him. I don't think he got a lot of screen time in Auckland.
Yeah.
So we didn't really get to see much of how this deck played out. I mean, I'm sure it plays out.
I mean, 8th place is definitely good. I mean, I remember,
but I would love to know whether or not the Death Essence Amulet actually did some work.
So this is my own personal experience. But when I was in Portland, I played against a player by the name of Aya who also ran the Death Essence Amulet, and it was a very good deterrent for getting me to not attack their allies. Unfortunately, I then just turned all my damage at their face, and that won me that one game.
All right.
So the other games, we didn't even bother with the Essence Amulet, and that was very, very razor tight, and they pulled it off in the end. So it does something.
All right.
It does something. But shout out to Yamikin for continually iterating on this deck that we are all going to be terrified to face eventually.
Yeah, at some point the cooking is going to be done, and we're going to have a finished product that is going to be very, very dangerous.
Yep. Hey, I almost killed this version of the deck with Windry, so I feel okay about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, top 8, so.
Top 8.
Good job, man.
Top 8. Doing great work.
Consistent performer, Yamikin. Jeez.
He's doing great. Just like our 7th place finalist, Limelight, on Oblation.
Yep.
Didn't expect to see this one again.
Yeah. So this is yet another Fire CL package. And for the most part, it's got a lot of the same Fire CL stuff that you expect to see. All of it is, the same usual stuff. The Oblation package, of course, comes with Advent of the Stormcaller and Baleful Oblation as a combo tool that you can use to deal 15 damage to everything that is not your champion. One of the things that this deck is doing that is pretty neat is it's running Sable Remnant as one of its floating memory pieces.
Oh, yeah.
And this is, in order to take advantage of potentially the backup charger, you have a place to put your power cell, in addition to, turbocharging. It's also, you can get a benefit out of Carter's sacrifice ability. It's on enter. If you sacrifice an automaton ally, you draw a card.
That's huge.
So in addition to just being a regular floating memory piece, it can also net a card for you.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's actually quite nice. So it also has the backup plan of if the Oblation doesn't kill you with the Advent, the Blackjack might kill you afterwards. Because that thing's probably going to be pretty easy to set up to clock you for 12 damage.
Yeah, so the Blackjack is another one of those things that gives you a benefit for having a lot of reserve cost in your omens.
Yep.
So, and getting up to 21 from 15 is remarkably easy, given how many 3s this deck is running.
It's many 3s. So getting to 21 is not terribly difficult after putting a 15 in there.
Right. And then you have a 2 reserve 12 damage attack.
Yep. And if you need to control your banish a little bit, Orb of Sealing is there for you, which is pretty cool. I also want to shout out that this is a dual spirit deck, so it's running regular Spirit of Fire and Serene Fire. So you can kind of pick and choose based on if you're going first or second.
You can do that. I think he mostly had it as a kind of pre-sideboarded tool against aggro.
That makes sense too.
Just some decks have a little bit of a more of aggressive bent.
Yeah.
And while this deck is great at turboing up, it's running Resolute Stand and it's running Shieldmate.
Yeah.
But not a lot of other defensive options just in the main.
I think that one has to shore up in the sideboard with the Flame Wreath Calls and the Underfires. That's kind of your way out.
And this is like kind of the downside of running these level 3 fire decks, right? All of the wind decks have a few more options to defend themselves.
Yeah.
They level up a little bit slower, but they're better at keeping themselves alive in that kind of early game, mid game. So as a fire deck, you kind of have to do what you can in order to keep yourself alive.
Yeah,
and I think that the Serene Fire is a nod towards that.
Yeah. Here you're kind of relying on your pure cycling and your influence to sort of pad your options, really, which is a little bit difficult, but worked out.
Yeah.
I know Limelight's been championing this deck for a long time.
Yeah, so. It's good to see him finally make it.
Yeah.
This is a deck that I was really behind when I first saw these cards, so I'm very glad to see it doing well.
It's still alive, so we can do good work with this. Technically also an Arcane deck, so I don't feel terrible playing it. So congrats, Limelight. That's awesome. In 6th place, we have What Do You Min on Fire Vow Crux Lorraine, which is a little bit of a misnomer because I think the only reason this is classified as a Vow deck on Fractal is because it's running a Sword Saint's Vow and not the other usual things that you might associate with
so
Vow.
I think if you were running a Vow deck, you would probably see Spirit Ruler instead of Crux Knight. You might see Spirit Blade Dispersion as well, and this is not doing any of those things. This is just kind of a bog standard Prismatic Ascension deck.
Yeah.
Except for it does have a couple more craft cards. So it's running Tempered Steel, which I think most of these decks are running.
Yeah,
Tempered Steel is an obvious,
float, right?
And then it is running a couple of Home by Fires,
Yeah.
which is not as frequent in these decks, but it does kind of lean into giving you like a really, really powerful occasional Sword Saint's Vow hit.
Yeah, so it does have a way to sort of sneak in this sort of early game kill if it needs to, but it also just has good value at the end game. So I think it's a little flexible in that regard. Otherwise, it's kind of a classic list.
Yeah.
You know, you just you get all your swords, you can banish them with Lovely Shopkeep, and then eventually at the end of the game you're clocking for a lot. Yon Shao in the sideboard is a fun one.
Yeah, this is a thing that we've seen every once in a while, but is definitely not common.
Yeah, this is probably just a nod to the more aggressive ally decks, which we ultimately didn't see come out on top.
It actually works pretty well against Wake Up.
Oh, true.
Because
this is a good wake up deterrent.
I think almost every unit in that deck that it wants to use as its attacker, all of the ranged units, are actually uniques.
Yeah. Liu Bei and Purse both make it a little bit...
The Mad Hatter is unique.
Mad Hatter is unique, true. I mean, at that point, they're relying on their Concealed Marksman and their Reconnaissance Scout. So it definitely lowers their options a bit. They still have ways to go through it, but like... This does take out a lot of the more aggressive potential. If you were expecting a lot of water unique allies here, I think also this would be like really, really good.
Yeah. So maybe it is a nod to the deck that we expected to show up and
and then everyone just sort of we got bamboozled. Whoops. But no, this is a solid list. Obviously, I mean, Min is definitely a well-established player, so big congrats to him for taking it away here. In 5th place, we have Asuna. He's back from Niagara, and he's pulling Tristan.
And he's running the exact same deck, I think?
Let's see.
Card for card? No, it's 93%, not 100%.
Oh, he made some changes.
He probably made some changes in the board, but I don't think he made many changes.
Yeah. I mean, this is...
Looks like the Penumbra Waltz moved out to the board instead of the main.
Penumbra Waltz moved out to the board. That's okay. He still has a Spurl in there. Spurl doing good work. So notably, Shadow Reaver is back in the main board for Asuna. which is very interesting. It looks like he cut out the blinding orb to make that happen.
So this, to me, says that this man is expecting to see more assassin, right?
It could definitely be that.
I think this is a nod towards the various Tristans that he ran into at Niagara Falls. And this says that he is expecting to see other decks playing the same kinds of cards that he wants to see in his own deck.
Yeah, I also think this is a great tool to have against the multiple Crux decks, because all of those decks probably have things that will help him plus.
Absolutely.
And I think that's pretty solid as well. A lot of this otherwise seems to be pretty classic Tristan.
Yeah, and I do like the Shadow Reaver though. I like the if everybody else is going to level 3, I might as well punish them for it.
Yeah, absolutely. The cut for the Penumbra Waltz, he made to make room for 1 Tempest downfall.
All right.
Which is pretty fun. 1
Tempest in the main, 1 Tempest in the board, and this feels very much a nod towards Wake Up.
Yeah, it also looks like he cut out a Black Market Broker, which there's a 61st card in there, so that's just a chop.
Yep.
So
easy cut, honestly.
Easy cut in the board. The Heavenly Guide has also been moved into main from the board.
Yeah, so a couple of swaps here and there.
Yeah, a few different swaps.
But it's still Tristan. There's nothing incredible going on.
There's nothing crazy. Yeah, there's nothing that's going to blow your mind here. That's a lot of the same tools. I keep saying it's time for me to pick up this deck, and I keep putting it off.
Yeah, I feel like you have to be a Tristan diehard in order to play Tristan these days.
I know.
It's a good deck, but like you really have to have the reps.
I want to sling spells, man. That's my problem.
And play Ride.
Knife is not a spell.
Just keep playing Ride.
Knife is not a spell yet.
Yeah. Wait till PTM.
Yeah. Spirit Blade Knife. Anyway, congrats, Asuna. Another 5th place finish. So, Dragowill in 4th place on Fire Merlin, the prismatic Merlin we know and love.
Dragowill, I think, is the story of this tournament because he had a lot of presence on the stream.
Oh yeah, he was constantly on stream, I feel like.
So Dragowill is our top placing Merlin player.
Yeah.
Here at the event with his teammate Glenny Boy.
So
you know he's got like the Merlin chops, right?
He's got sauce.
Anybody who tests with Glenny is definitely going to be a good Merlin player.
Yes, for sure.
I think it's more of a reason thing for him. Like he's been kind of off and on various different decks. We've seen him on Astro, we've seen him on Fractals, and now here he is on Merlin. I don't know if Merlin is the best deck in the format, but it sure seems to be the most popular deck in the format.
Yeah,
and it's not at all surprising that Glenn's teammate came in with a Merlin deck.
Yeah.
And just nailed it, really.
Worth calling out, he's got the Ascension package, and he's running 2 Fracturizes. The reason I believe behind these is because he has 2 CSR Fracturizes.
Good numbers.
So you gotta rock what you got. Other than that, it's a lot of things that we normally would expect from Merlin.
Actually, I think the Fracturizes is a really good metagame call. Because he's got the fire.
Yeah.
He's got the water sometimes.
Yep.
And he can almost always guarantee that his opponent has the wind.
There is no doubt that he will run into wind in this meta.
Absolutely.
He will be fine at doing that.
Yeah.
At that point,
I think this is a good choice.
Yeah. The ratios, CSRs aside, the ratio is good here. The one of Fast here, I think, is an interesting choice in here. I feel like I don't know if that would come up very often because of the ludicrous amount of card draw.
Sure.
From Merlin. But this might just be he needs some extra float, and then maybe it'll come up situationally. It'll be pretty good. So other than that, you kind of see, you know what to expect from a Merlin.
It's Merlin,
deck.
yeah.
It's Merlin. It's great.
He's running the Looking Glass and Cat combo.
Yeah.
Has 2 Distortion Swords, so the Cat can go up to 4 power.
Yep. The board has a lot of one-ofs, which is really interesting. And I wish that I could tell you what all of these things were for.
Okay, you know what? Kind of going back to the conversation about Glenn, I really think that this informed some of his opinions.
Yeah.
And like the duplicitous reflection in the board.
Oh, yeah.
Very clearly for Merlin. Like, who else are you going to play this against?
Of course.
This is for the mirror.
Yeah, we saw Perfy do this in his board. And it's just like, you see a deer? I can do. I have one of those.
Yeah, like, it's... Man, it's just someone who is so ready for other people to make the same decisions that he is making.
Yeah.
Right? It's someone who is so confident that he knows what's going on in the field that he is geared for the mirror almost more than anything else.
You know, what if this one of Fast Gear is just a cut for one of the many one-ofs that you see in his sideboard?
I wouldn't doubt it.
This Morgan Soul Guide is pretty good, probably against Arasana for one, because how the hell are you going to kill this thing when she gets on the board? A Heavenly Guide, a Crystallized Destiny,
Two Blanches.
Two Blanches. Okay, cutting 2 cards, that's a little spicy. But no, there's a lot of toolboxy goodness in here that you can sort of make use of. So
yeah, this man came to this event ready to draw.
Yeah. You know, I think he has a deck tech online talking about this list. I'll have to dig it up and find it, but to hear about his specific choices. So something for y'all to look at if you want a little more information on this version of the deck. But congrats to Dragowill. Clearly trained well for this event.
And if you want to hear more directly from the player himself, tune in to the Auckland stream. I think he had quite a few match wins on stream. And the winners' interviews are pretty good.
Oh, yeah. We love those. In third place, we have Pulse on Win Seryu. So, this is a very turbo-y Seryu.
Yeah, this is leaning less into the Ally-Z kinds of Seryu decks that we've seen. Definitely still has, the brisk Wind Trotters, and a lot of the allies that you'd expect, but it's also kind of extra leaning into making sure that the Seryu has big hits. 4 of Byako's command, 4 of Seryu's command, 4 of Harness Lightning. Like, he's very, very ready to go all in on this dragon.
Yeah, a lot of other folks will have cut that down to 3 to make room for more allies, but not Pulse. He's all in and committed to the plan. So the allies here are no joke either. You see sort of the classics, the Windmills, the Asins, the Wind Trotters, the Dream Fairies. We're seeing Longtails pop in here as an option too. But what I find really interesting, he's still managing to find room for Reclaims, which is a card that I've found myself missing from time to time. And he's also running 3 Displaces, which is a very large number of Displaces. But I think this card has proven itself to be a very powerful role player in this deck.
Yeah, and I think it's another sign that he's kind of leaning into that combo. He's got sort of the combo-y utility pieces more than he has the widespread of wind allies.
Absolutely. We also have a Candlelight Hourglass.
I love this card, actually.
Yeah. It draws you a card, and it has a relevant ability. Pretty cool. In the board, it's classic stuff, really. Regals, Scatter Essences, Veiling Breezes. Interestingly moved to the board. I think that's actually a pretty cool
Veiling
choice.
in the board is fascinating. I think it's also an indicator of what he expected to face.
Yeah, he really probably didn't expect a lot of fast aggression. I think otherwise you'd want to absolutely mainboard these.
And the meta holds true for that, honestly, right?
It does.
The best performing aggro deck we saw was 20th.
Yeah.
Or something like 20th, 28th? I don't know, 20th.
Yeah, I think it was a good call.
So, yeah, this is a good call. Putting these in the board, like, it's there if you need it, but you can expect that the majority of the meta is not going to be people that you need this on. You can go faster than most of the people in the field. You don't need to defend yourself.
I appreciate the straightforward honesty of this deck, which is I'm going to play threats, and I'm going to smack you with them, and you will take a lot of damage. It's very nice. So congrats, Pulse. In second place, we have Team True Caven on Fire Crux Lorraine. This is a good old-fashioned Crux list.
Yeah.
Hones and Rending Flames. No vow.
No vow. Not this time.
We don't need to do any fancy stuff. This is just getting out a big old sword and smacking you with it. True and true. And if you don't do that, then you can do ghosts and ascension things when you get to level 3.
It is an absolute trip for me to see Honorable Vanguard back in the main on some of these decks.
I'm telling you, sometimes you just need a floaty boy or girl that just hits for a little bit of damage.
Sure.
You play it, you swing it, you cremate it, done.
I mean, it just shows that it still, at this late stage in the game, right?
Yeah.
7 sets in, 8 sets in.
Yeah.
The 1-2 floating memory is still role player.
Still really good. Pick that over the Witch. So the chip was relevant.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah. Also a nice pitch target for 3 of Hearts, who is probably the more aggressively statted ally here. In the board, you have some Immolation Traps to deal with Shenju, some Flame Wreath Calls to deal with aggression, some Devastating Blows in case you just need to hit them really, really hard. Surreptitious Schemes, 3 of. Does this work? Does this work for people? I don't know. I know this is supposed to be a Merlin counter, but I've also heard Merlin's using it for their own benefits, so I feel like I don't see it a lot.
Yeah, well, it's no duplication, but
it's true.
It is a card that handles a level.
Yeah, counter. I shouldn't riff on it too much. The man did make second place, so clearly he knew what he was doing. Also 3 staggering strikes because trust me,
no, you do that.
You do that. You do that. I wish there was more to say. This is just a solid classic list piloted by a player who's had multiple Ascent tops and clearly knows what he's doing. So congrats to Cayman. Very nice. But there can be only one, and in a reversal of what we saw at Seattle, we see our number 1 champion of Auckland, Emp, on Razorgale.
So Razor Gale's done it again.
This is not the Xenadrail Razor Gale, mind you. It's a little bit different.
It is. There's a little bit more of an ally focus.
and
a little bit less of a Cloud Striker focus.
Yes, there's no Cloud Striker. They took it out in favor of the Acolyte of Cultivation. It's a 4 cost that costs 3 less if you activate a spell this turn, and hits. It's a good old 2/3. So 2/3 for 1. Why would you run this over Cloud Striker?
Well, it is cheap.
Yep.
Being able to play it for 1 is kind of ridiculous.
Yep.
And there is also an expeditious opening in here.
You could. Oh, yes. You could do that. You could play it out really fast.
So there's a lot of room in here. I think it's kind of leaning more into these fast plays, leaning more into the Razor Gale itself, rather than having the kind of aggressive Cloud Striker opening.
Yeah.
And it means that you're not ever committing, right?
True.
Cloud Striker is a commitment. If
you
you
have
are
to
paying
dedicate yourself
5
to
in order to bring it out, you're not doing anything else that turn. And even in a deck like this, like playing Razor Gale Calling itself is a bit of a commitment, right? Forward in order to play that out. So this is allowing you to leave cards up and do things at various speeds, allowing you to play allies for relatively cheap, and giving you ways to trigger the Razor Gale in ways that you wouldn't normally.
It also turns out that 4 costs on the Acolyte is also relevant because this is a deck running 4 copies of Rictus Tiding. And there are a lot of 4s in this deck.
Really a lot of 4s. Wow, it didn't actually register to me that Acolyte of Cultivation was a 4.
Yeah, it took me a while too because I was like, okay, it's a nice aggressive pick. And then I started looking at the numbers and I was like, oh, so your Razor Gale Calling costs 4. Your Cyclical Breeze costs 4. Acolyte of Cultivation, 4. Ace and Protectors, 4.
The 2 Mustangs, also 4s.
You got to kill a Lantern. And you might as well cost 4 while you do it. So, and this is a deck that has ludicrous glimpse potential with 3 visits, Bagua, and Fairy Whispers. So you can very easily set a pair of 4s on the top, which he did multiple times on stream, and it was.
I mean, guy's running 4 Scout the Lands.
This man's running 4 Scout the
Very
Lands.
dedicated to Rictus hits.
He knows exactly what his deck will be ordered like at any given time. Oh, he's got incaps in the board. Those also cost 4. Yeah, this is this man, when I saw him on stream, just seemed like he was having the time of his life.
Yeah,
really, he was just very frequently in control, just blowing things up. He made me a believer, very close to making me a believer in Razor Gale.
Absolutely.
It's weird because I like the Usurp the Winds version a lot too, because 1, that's an underplayed card, and 2, it tickles my sensibilities of just spinning the winds. But this version of being able to set up the perfect limbs is also pretty dope.
Yeah,
so
it's got some cool stuff in here.
I have to try them both if I can pull myself away from Arcane for the hottest of seconds.
No. Leave the Razor Gale to me. I'll keep it.
Okay. You tell me which one you like more. Then we'll workshop it.
The one thing that I don't like about this deck is the Magistrates are now on the board.
That's true. The Magistrates were pretty clutch in Niagara Falls. Seeing them here in the board is a little bit of an interesting nod.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's saying that he doesn't think that the matchup spread is such that he needs them in more matchups than not.
Yeah, true.
Which, like, I can kind of understand, but I mean, every deck is running Dungeon Guide. Yeah. I don't understand how you leave something like Magistrate in the board.
Maybe the ratios of the build are such that he kind of favored the consistency of.
I mean, I could see that.
It's tough though. I kind of feel what you're getting at though. Even Xenadrail had like 2 in the main, 2 in the board, so he didn't want to dilute it too much. But I think it's a very powerful card. So yeah.
Well done.
You did it. You ran it back after Seattle. Good job. Congrats to you. And that will conclude our coverage of Ascent Auckland. So, what can we take home from this? Well, like Niagara, the field is quite open.
Yeah, I think it's very similar to Niagara in terms of what the meta looked like and what the top cuts looked like.
Yeah.
Although there is a bit more of an emphasis on Crux here.
Yeah, we got very close to saying there are 8 unique decks in the top 8. second and sixth place are similar enough though that I think it's really more of a 7 unique decks, which is still a great amount of decks.
Absolutely.
So, Razorgale taking it both times, I don't think that's too worrisome. I just think that's just another permutation to be considering. I think you should be prepared to fight Razorgale going in.
I think it's also one of those things where top players won the event.
Yes.
And because top players chose Razorgale doesn't mean that Razorgale is better than every other deck.
Correct.
It means, that was like kind of a roll of the dice, right?
Yeah.
And especially as this is a team deck, right?
Yeah.
So we saw several other TM32 people on Razorgale at the event.
Yeah. Shout out to Lifterstill who got 13th place and got very, very close as well.
And I think that choice was not necessarily informed by them collectively going, oh yeah, Razorgale's the best deck in the field.
Yeah.
And more informed by one of them liking Razorgale more than the others liked the other decks. And collectively they're like, okay, well, we have 2 days to practice in between Niagara and Auckland. So, as long as somebody is sure, then let's go with it.
Yeah, and it's also one of those things where I feel like it wasn't like you have to be on this deck if you're on this team. Because we saw Sebastian also playing his own Fire CL, which he's been playing a lot and I think is more familiar with. So I think in this case, it wasn't because it was overpoweringly the best deck, but because it was just a pick that seemed pretty strong.
Right.
And that, you could practice with a decent amount of time and get good at. So...
I do think that having Razorgale winning 2 Ascents in a row means it's probably not the pick for Aki.
I think a lot of people are probably going to consider coming in on that, seeing it do well, and thinking, "Oh, I'm just going to do this and I'm going to win," and they might be.
I think there's going to be so many scatter essences in that field.
I think there will be a lot of scatter essences. I think there'll be a lot of wind. I could also see.
I actually, I don't think that a lot of the Merlin diehards are going to switch over. But like, if I was going in there being like, oh, I think I want to play like one of these Fire Level 3 decks.
Yeah.
The way that Razorgale has been showing up in these events would pull me more towards Wind, so I could have that Fantasia.
Yeah, true. I think even if you wanted to be a dire Grux player, you might lean towards Lorraine over Merlin just to have the Clarent to protect you from Razorgale. Which might be pretty reasonable. I could also see some diehard Arasana players coming in here and being like, hey, I got Scatter Essence in the board, I got my Noble Dissolutions, I'm ready to go. And you're just gonna have a terrible, terrible time if you're a Fantasia player.
Yeah. So okay. So based on this, neither of us are going to Akihabara.
Right.
I think. What would you take if you were going?
I mean, I would take Rye.
Why do I even ask these questions?
I don't understand. Listen. Regardless of my own bias about the deck, it is a surprisingly fast deck in a format where aggro is not very potent right now. And Rye, go look at Hyoka's video talking about his summary of the Niagara Falls thing, but like all of the decks that you would expect to be more aggressive that have been sort of falling off are the ones that prey on Rye. And Rye preys on level 3 decks that go a bit slower. It can still get blown out by like a Rending Flames or like some other things, but like I feel like in general there, like that's a deck that if you know how to pilot it very, very well, and you need to know how to pilot it very, very well because there's so many pitfalls you can do in the early game to ruin you, but like that's actually a pretty well positioned one.
Okay, I actually kind of to walk back my position a little bit. I know it's a deck that you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And that is the absolute most important thing going into this.
I am comfortable with this. Just because I am saying that this deck is good, it does not mean you can suddenly pick it up and overnight learn to just top an entire Ascent. I think the most important thing is understanding where your deck thrives in the current environment and where it does not thrive. And if you have a general idea of how to navigate that, that's the thing that'll do the best. But if you were looking to, say, pick up a deck, obviously Merlin is very, very good.
Merlin's good.
You can have a great time with that, right?
I will say my feel going into this was I was like, I feel like Fire CL is still a bit underrated. It hasn't performed as well as it should be, and maybe it's due.
Yeah.
Like I think I would maybe take Fire CL to Aki. Looking at these results, Seryu. I want to take Seryu.
Oh, yeah.
Because Seryu has the power to break through on these level 3 decks.
Yep.
And Seryu is Wind to give you the defensive tools you need to deal with the aggro decks that are admittedly not there, but also all of these Fantasia decks.
I would agree. And I would say if you are trying to learn a deck in a limited amount of time, Seryu is probably the one that is the most explosive with the least time commitment. There are obviously still things you need to learn and understand and internalize about the matchups, but there's a lot there that's pretty straightforward. Also, Arcane deck, you get to blast.
And
that's a plus in my book.
I mean, I would bring Razor Gale, but honestly, I feel like the field is going to be really, really poised to stop Razor Gale.
Yeah, I'd say so. So I feel like any of these mid-range decks would be pretty good.
Right.
I think some folks are even thinking Arasana might still be good.
Sure.
We've definitely seen Arasana hold together pretty well. I know that she wasn't performing terribly well in the pre-Ryle format, but in the post-Ryle format, she has enough sort of room to breathe.
Yeah. I will say, whatever deck you bring, if you're comfortable on it, you have a decent shot at making day 2.
Yeah.
Right? Like, as long as you know what you're doing with your deck, you can make day 2 on almost anything.
Yes.
I just think once you get into that more competitive level of day 2, you're going to want to pay more attention to what the meta is bringing and what the meta is potentially working against.
Yep, absolutely. So, our hottest picks, Saryu, Merlin, right?
I believe what you want.
I don't even know if Hyoka's showing up, Saki. Hyoka, if you're out there.
Yeah, I would say be careful about Razor Gale, because I think it'll be powerful enough to get you to day 2, no question. But I think that the people that make it to day 2 are going to be well equipped to face it.
I would also flip this and say, if you are planning to go to Akihabara, make sure you have a plan to deal with Razor Gale.
Absolutely.
Because there are certainly going to be people who see this and say, hey, this thing top 2 Ascents.
Yeah, right?
I can do that.
Yeah, not everybody's going to be listening to us. So you have to be ready for those people.
If you listen to us, we don't guarantee you success, but we guarantee you our respect and appreciation.
Our goal is to give you the tools to deal with everybody else.
Deal with everybody else. There you go. But that will wrap up our coverage of Auckland and also some of our recommendations for Akihabara, which brings us to the end phase. And at the time of this recording, we've seen a lot of DTR spoilers.
Oh my god, the DTR spoilers. I'm so ready.
So tell me, has anything struck your fancy?
Yes. Oh my god, yes.
Tell me.
I am so ready. I am caught. All right?
Okay.
First off, there is the new Umbra Regalia for CL.
Oh, yeah.
That gives you Spell Shroud and Stealth.
That thing is a nightmare to me.
I really want to put that under a Grail and wreck some people's days.
Oh, yeah.
That is my goal.
So you're an Oblation stan.
I have been since DTR release.
Yes.
And I still am.
All right.
However, there is another deck that I want to do.
Oh, okay.
Reanimator.
Oh, yeah, Reanimator's
They
going
finally
hard.
printed something that lets you pull something out of the graveyard onto the field.
Yep.
And I am so ready to bring out a Crawl on turn 2. You have no idea.
I was wondering about this. I was like, there's a lot of Umbra cards. Everyone's talking about the Jabberwocky. But I'm like, you don't have to put in just like Umbra cards. You can put in some really rude
so
stuff.
I took a look at the lists of allies that you could potentially bring out of the graveyard.
Yeah.
And I feel like the 2 most powerful choices are 1, Crawl.
Yep.
And 2, Overlord.
Oh yeah, Overlord is definitely one that I have heard people talking about.
So I am looking at this list. I'm like, okay, how many automatons can I reasonably fit into this list to give the Overlord food to give me card draw?
Yep.
And can I fit Crawl in here? Obviously, I'm going to put the Jabberwocky in there.
You have to put the Jabberwocky.
Right? The Jabberwock seems like a really good choice too, because it's cheap at that point.
Yep.
But oh my god, I am so ready to bring out some Crawls and wreck people's days.
You know, I've got to say about the Jabberwocky, I was convinced when they mentioned the text about the Vorpal Sword on that thing that there was going to be like, there is no Vorpal Sword printed in this set. That thing is just not going to take damage. This is just a way to mess with people. And maybe in like 4 sets down the line, they'll print a Vorpal Sword. Suppose they printed a Vorpal Sword.
You know what? If you think Merlin is bad now... Yeah.
So how many mind labyrinths are we going to get locked into?
The field is going to be 60% Merlin.
It's all various flavors of Merlin.
Yeah, there's going to be Fire Merlin. There's going to be Assassin Merlin. There's probably going to be several flavors of Assassin Merlin.
Yep.
There's going to be like Aggro Assassin Merlin.
Yep.
There's going to be level 3 Assassin Merlin.
Yep.
And all of them are going to have Vorpal Swords.
And
so maybe your Jabberwock is not going to be as safe as you'd like
and
it
there's
to.
going to be classic Merlin walking around. Some people are going to be like, no, I like the fire stuff for my old Merlin because some of it does work with the mage in addition to the assassin. So you got options there. So yeah, but Reanimator being back is pretty crazy. I have at least one local player who's very, very excited to play Reanimator and has just been tweaking that deck on the side.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Testing, so that's
I'm so ready. I'm so ready. That's 100% the first deck I'm going to build.
Did you know that the Jub Bird is a Spectre?
Yeah, I did.
That's the rudest thing I've ever seen.
It's so terrifying. Great. It plays really well with the Templar.
Yeah.
That brings
the Templar
bird back.
Yeah, it's really good.
And then your Templar becomes a 3/3 stealth.
Yeah, it's
It's great.
It's horrifying. It's terrible.
Just do that on turn 2.
Yeah. So I had a lot of decks that I wanted to play, and hilariously, all of them were water decks. Water Chessman, Water Assassin, Water Diana, etc.
I don't care about any of this stuff. I don't want to do any of these
here's
things.
the thing,
All I want to do is Alice.
I was pretty like, all right, I'll try all these decks, they'll be fine. But then a couple things came out. One, I spelled a bunch of Astra cards, and I cannot quit Astra Diana.
Yep.
For the life of me. I had been saying for a long time, the one thing that Diana needs is a way to wake up and shoot that gun again. And they didn't quite give her that, but they gave her a way to, let's just make another bow that's the same as your first bow, but your ally can swing it. And I'm like, all right, good enough.
Yeah.
So we can do that. There's also some really interesting things in there, like you can just continually plant a Ranger Strides in your deck, 4th from the top, and then just keep glimpsing it.
Yeah, why not?
In your deck. That's great.
That seems great.
I mean, that's cool stuff. So I'm really excited to do that and try that whole thing again. That'll be really cool. I had something else that I was going to say here, but I forgot what it was. Oh yeah, now I remember. They started printing Chessmen. That's the second thing that came out. Yeah. I was like,
yeah, they are finally making good on their promise to support Chessmen.
Yeah, not only is it just to have a lot of ridiculous hoops to jump through to do stupid amounts of damage, but it turns out there's just a lot of unblockable nonsense you can do with Chessmen because
it's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I am really excited to theme out a chess deck. I think that'll be really cool. Is it going to be good? I don't know. I might just get flame swept, but I'm in water. I could probably Song of Frost once or twice. It'll be fine.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm day 1, level 2 Alice.
Level 2 Alice. There we go. So it'll be exciting.
We're gonna take the Yandere. We're gonna kill some people with it.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a wild time. So we're excited to see what happens here.
Yeah.
Until all that happens, we have one more big tournament to go to. Well, we're not going to go to it, sadly. You will not see us there.
But yeah, really excited to see what comes up at Akihabara.
Yes.
And definitely look forward to our coverage of that event.
Yeah, it's going to be a big one. It's probably going to be the biggest event up to date. There will also be a regionals happening in place of the Scrubbed Out tournament, which I think will be also interesting to see.
Yeah, that's super cool.
So people will probably be bringing their fun decks to that, or just wanting the run back. We'll see. Side note, did you know that the Path of Steel for Akihabara is on 2 separate floors?
Whoa.
They have 2 floors of a venue for this thing.
Big tournament.
Which is huge.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing everything that comes out of that. So, hopefully, by the time you hear this, you'll have some time to prep for Akihabara, or if you're hearing us after this, I hope it was all that you wanted it to be and more. But I think we're just going to...
I think that'll wrap it up for us.
Yeah. So thank you, as always, for listening to the Corhazi Outlook. Please look forward to our next episode where we will be talking to you about Ascent Akihabara and all of the craziness and the secret tech that got leaked at the very end of the season, which definitely totally happened.
Come on, Chess Club. I'm relying on you.
Come on, Chess Club. Don't add us. But until then, take care.
Take care.